one was really strong. You don't often get to see these kind of stories on a backdrop like this, and I thought that was just such a brilliant touch. Definitely just lent this whole other dimension to this story, this really gritty vibe that I enjoyed. The characters themselves just felt so grounded and so real, and definitely seems like on the narrative level and on the visual level, they were not pulling any punches in this one, and absolutely just going for it and telling the most real, true to heart story that they could get on the screen, and they did it with flying colors.
The short itself, just in the 30 minutes, it's impressive quite much how we see this relationship evolve, starting from, friendly neighbors to friends, acquaintances, friends. And I don't know whether we would say that we exactly reach lovers, right? But we certainly, there is a third transformation. And I think it definitely depends on the viewer what you would constitute that as. What would you call that? Lovers, maybe not. Some kind of significant kinship, though, is obviously found between the both of them. And we see it created and built upon through nice, subtle dialogue. It's a very slow brewing plot that really makes you appreciate the little moments and the little twitches of the face and eye turns and things like that. You really appreciate the intensity of the quietness, because this is an aftermath. This is the aftermath of destruction. And what good can maybe come out of that as we reflect upon ourselves. So this is definitely a great short film, obviously, to view right now, given everything that's going on. Very impressive.
They did these kind of very quiet moments of like reading the poetry or kind of talking about those kinds of things, like very well and very like respectfully and quietly almost, but not actually like what they were whispering, but just like the tone or the energy of it felt that way. I thought it was beautifully done.
I loved the environment and where this piece was set. The heat just really felt like it was emanating off the scene, and the sweat dripping off of them. The environment of this heat wave in the haze brought out those themes of sexuality and desire and even a haziness of thought really well. There wasn't any words at the beginning, but I was so glad because the tension was allowed to build and the mystery was allowed to build, and it was brimming under the surface throughout, just crystal clear. I loved the unlikely pairing of this kind of jock sports fan, seeming like a simple guy who's just jacked on life, and the little more timid poetry professor uniting in this strange time. It was complicated, potentially destructive. There was a strange back and forth of yin and yang, and ultimately I cared because there was this profound sense of honesty and rawness in the relationship. And it was a relationship I don't feel like I've ever seen on screen before, which is great.
And the shower scene was extremely intense, and we're waiting for the kiss, and it doesn't happen yet. And when it finally does, a few scenes later, it's so strong and so powerful. And somehow the kiss is so intense, yet so lighthearted at the same time. And it just tied the entire story together so well.
I really enjoyed this film. There was so much to it. The location was absolutely stunning. They did a really good job of setting the environment, establishing the state that the country was in, and then telling this really beautiful, raw, realistic relationship between these two men. And watching the main character really discover himself and perhaps not discover himself is the right word, but he learned a lot about himself and became more comfortable with himself through his relationship with Rafa. And there was so many scenes that just kept you on the edge of your seat. The shower scene was like, there was so much tension. I don't even know if it was sexual tension, but tension, like you could cut it with a knife. Incredible performances by the actors. I just think this is like award-winning, beautiful, beautiful storytelling.